Welcome to the Hack the Entrepreneur Top 10, where we dive into the 10 most popular, deepest diving, and most transformative interviews from over 200 of the world's most interesting and brightest entrepreneurs. To get the full experience and to hear new episodes every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, visit hacktheentrepreneur.com.
Welcome to Hack the Entrepreneur, the show which reveals the fears, habits, and inner battles behind big-name entrepreneurs and those on their way to joining them. Now here is your host, John Nestle.
Welcome back again to Hack the Entrepreneur. I am so glad you decided to join me again. My name is John Nestle, but you can call me Johnny. Today's guest on Hack the Entrepreneur is an entrepreneur and an inventor that consistently earns millions of dollars licensing his ideas to companies like Disney, Nestle, and Coca-Cola. He's not high tech, but he knows how to take an idea and very quickly make it a global sensation. Before becoming a savvy entrepreneur, he spent part of the 1980s as the head of design at Worlds of Wonder. They had two #1 hit toys that you may remember, Teddy Ruxpin and LazerTag. Since this time, he has started his own businesses, Inventor and Spinformation, and has sold hundreds of millions of products. He's the author of the best-selling book, One Simple Idea. He currently writes a weekly column on entrepreneur.com and also writes regularly for Inc. magazine. Now, let's hack Stephen Key.
FreshBooks makes dead simple cloud accounting software that's transformed how 5 million entrepreneurs deal with their day-to-day paperwork. As the exclusive sponsor of Hack the Entrepreneur's Top 10 series, FreshBooks is sharing their top 10 tips on how entrepreneurs can save time, reduce stress, and make their businesses run more smoothly. Tip number 2, make it ridiculously easy for your clients to pay you. With FreshBooks, you can start accepting online payments instantly. When a client receives your invoice, they'll see a Pay Now button. Clicking on Pay Now will lead them to a secure, simple payment page where they can enter their credit card information and pay your invoice in a jiffy. Yep, I said in a jiffy. This is only a fraction of what FreshBooks can do for you. Get 30 days free right now and feel the full effect of FreshBooks on you and your small business. To get your 30 days free, go to freshbooks.com/hack and enter hack in the How Did You Hear About Us section.
And we are back on Hack the Entrepreneur, and today we have a very special guest. Stephen Key, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So Stephen, as an entrepreneur, can you tell me what is the one thing that you do that you feel has been the biggest contributor to your successes so far?
I would say having structure in my life, that beyond being passionate about what I do, there's a lot of structure, although I have a lot of freedom too, but I can create my own structure. There's a difference, I think. So that's a very important part of what I do.
Okay, so structure of time, structure of energies, structure of idea. Like, what do you mean?
What type of structure? I've been self-employed for my whole career. So how do you have structure when you have all that freedom, right? I can do what I want. I can live wherever I want. I can basically have fun, I guess, all day long. But I've learned that to really be successful, that the structure is important for someone like myself. So I get up at the same time basically every day. I walk in my office every day. I put in a full too long a day. And on Sundays, I get ready for Mondays. So it's a very structured, and I make sure I have a list of things I want to accomplish each day and each week and each month, and I just mark it off. So it's interesting that you're asking this question, because you think that someone that's creative would be kind of all over the map, but technically I liked having that structure. Maybe because my mind is going in so many different directions, I need that structure. So yeah, it helps me.
Excellent. Yeah, no, and it's one of those tricky things, right? Because most of us in this world are of the creative mind, and we're rebellious sort of nature maybe, but there's a time, I think, where you realize you do need more structure than you figured you would have. Otherwise, you just really thrash about and don't get anything done.
Maybe it's structured chaos.
Ah, there we go.
Because thinking about it, even though I have the structure, there's still a lot of freedom within that structure to do things I like and to research, to reach out to certain individuals, to study a market and look at it and say, hey, is there an opportunity here? So within that structure, I can still play. Let's put it, okay, that's better.
Yeah, I like that.
My wife, it sounds like I'm a boring guy, but
No, not at all. I love the structured chaos. That's cool.
yeah, I think that's sums it up pretty well.
Okay, so you said you've been self-employed for most of your life, but I find that there's a time in every entrepreneur's life where one of two things happen. They either realize that they have this calling to make something really big or make a dent in the world, or, which seems to actually mostly be the case of the people I've been talking to, they really just find out they just cannot work for somebody else. Can you tell me about when this time was for you and what it was that caused it?
Well, I have a severe learning disability, and I realized very quickly that I didn't have any skills. I didn't think anybody would ever hire me. So I realized I had to create my own job. I was a little frightened about that. So I went ahead and realized I was a pretty sharp guy. I could see things and find opportunities. And I realized real quick, I don't really want to work with anybody else, or maybe because I think I can make good decisions. And I have had a couple jobs when I was younger and worked for people, and I thought, I'll never do this. And maybe I just thought I was smarter than the other guy for some reason, but I don't think I have a high IQ. I just think I like to look at opportunities. I like to feel like I am making the difference. And I have my own roadmap in my mind of what I want to do, and I don't want anybody to tell me to do it differently. I struggle with that. And I have a couple partners and other things that I do that I'm always struggling with those guys because they don't listen to me. So I love them, but they should be listening to me more all the time. But I learned very early on that I did not want to work with anybody else. My father taught me a very important lesson. He said, look, if you ever want to create great wealth, first of all, whatever job you have, figure out your last paycheck. And if that's enough money, fantastic, then you're going to be happy. If you want unlimited income, you're going to have to piggyback. You're going to have to find a multiplying effect. And that fascinated me to think that how can I find this multiplying effect that doesn't require my presence, doesn't require me being there. And that's been my journey, is trying to find this way to piggyback on other opportunities so I can keep my freedom to do what I want to. So working for somebody else was never going to work for me, ever.
Okay, you said at the beginning that you can make good decisions and you can go with those decisions. I want to explore this a bit if we can. I think this is very, very, very key to success in entrepreneurship, is the ability to come to a decision fairly quickly and to be sure about it enough to kind of go all in on it, right? So could you think back to the past 6 months or a year, or some sort of business decision that you had to make that was important to you in your business? And how did you do that? Like, are you like an analytical, like you go over numbers, or is it like a gut feeling for you?
Well, let's talk about this let's say 8 months ago. I was watching a movie, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, it's a great movie.
And I'm watching this, and I'm watching the sales guy, and they're selling just stuff that's not really worth anything. And I was fascinated by it, that they could sell something that didn't really have the value. And I realized that I have a great product, but I'm not selling it at all. So I went back on Monday and I told my group, I said, look, we're going to do one thing different. I want you to put on a schedule that you're going to actually try to sell every day. That little thought, that little nugget on a Saturday matinee changed my business. It doubled within 8 months of just putting it on my team's calendar and saying, look, you have to do this every day, not just every once in a while. No, this is something you need to do every day and focus on it. So making good decisions, I think, can come from anywhere, anything. I like to read quite a bit. I like to look at other types of businesses and try to analyze what they're doing right. And I borrow from a lot of people. And if I see something that's amazing, I borrow it and use it right away. And if it doesn't work, I'm very flexible to change it. I'm never worried that if I make a mistake that I can't change it very quickly. So I'm not married to these decisions, but I do realize you have to make them and you have to live by them and accept that some of them will be a success and some will not. And if I'm right more than I'm wrong, I'm going to do pretty well. So I love making decisions. I love to own them. And not that I have to take pride in that they work, but that's part of being self-employed. That's part of running the ship. I like to make them. I like to make them every day. And I feel like I'm confident enough that if they're not right, I'll change it. If they are right, hey, let's move on. Let's make another one.
Excellent. I love it. Okay, Stephen, let's move to work. So you say you're a very, very structured person. You need to set up your work day. This is a work day. You need to set it up to be productive and structured, and so you can implement the stuff you need to implement. Can you walk us through, say, the first 30 minutes of that work day to set yourself up for this?
Oh, beautiful. Usually the night before of a work day, I'll put together, I'll spend 30 minutes and try to kind of in my mind what my goals are. So I always have that in front of me all the time. And then, of course, I've got my calendar. I look at first thing in the morning, my calendar, what's my day going to be like? So I have to really kind of understand that big picture. What do I have to do? So I make sure I'm on time and I'm doing everything correct. And then I start, I guess, by reading online news. I like to keep very current. So I have a list of websites I go to, read as much as I can, see if I can find something in there that's interesting. And then the next thing I go to is all my social media, see if I'm answering questions right or if something I missed. And I go through, and it's always the same list every day. And that's what's kind of interesting. It's fun. I like it, but I don't consider that work. That's something I'm fascinated with. So I do that really before my day starts. So if my day starts at 8 o'clock, which it does, I probably start about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I go through all those little things that give me satisfaction before my day starts. And then I always plan something in the afternoon that's kind of more enjoyable, and all the crappy work I try to get done in the morning because I try to reward myself. I realize you have to reward yourself. So I'll go through my list. I'll make my hit list. I try to do the awful things first thing, get those out of the way. And then I try to reward myself because at the end of the day, it's truly, and I've learned this the hard way, it's the journey that's magical. Getting there, it's okay. I'm never that excited about getting there because it's never as great as I thought it was. It was the journey, which I was fascinated with. Getting there is like, okay, done that. What's the next thing to do?
That's interesting. And well, first of all, I want to say that I'm happy that it's 2 p.m. so that when you tell me that all the boring stuff's first thing in the morning, I'm not one of those people now. So I'm going to tell myself that I fit into your joyous work time. But so this journey thing, this is interesting. I was wondering if this was just me. And I'm realizing this as I go through it, that I love sort of making the deal. I love starting, like putting a team together and starting an idea and sending it sort of off. And I lose interest kind of quickly. I kind of can't stay focused. I kind of want to go to the next thing. I was wondering if that was me or if is that an entrepreneur thing? Is that like, I like still following through with stuff, but I'm bad at management. I can't manage people well. I can put people together well. I can get them moving and get them excited about a project and get them behind my idea. But then after that, I'm just kind of like, oh, where's the next one? And I guess that's it. I like the journey, but I like the starting of the journey.
Well, I think that's very typical. In fact, I believe a lot of creative people have that distraction of what's new and what's fun, right? So, but at the end of the day, Seth Godin said this perfectly. You have to ship. You really have to ship sooner or later, and it's never going to be that perfect. But I like that first moment of, hey, this is a great idea. Let's work on this. And you start building upon it. And then something else comes and distracts me. And I'm doing something else, but I didn't finish. So that's why that structure helps me to do that and get that out of the way. Because you're right. I'd rather do other things and start projects off and have fun. But I would never complete projects if I didn't stay on track with that structure.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I should say it that I love the shipping. I love launching an idea and a product. And I can work as hard. It could be 2 years if it took to launch that project. And then I'm kind of just like, I want the next one. I think the fear and anxiety before launching something
the part where I can't sleep for a week because I put so much heart and soul into this, and then it's just, is this going to completely bomb? Is everybody going to hate it? It's something I just thrive on that. I don't know why.
Well, you have a lot.
It's probably not healthy.
You have a lot of patience. I mean, a 2-year product for me is eternity. I don't think I could take a 2-year. I'm more like a weekly guy. I like to get stuff quick.
Yeah, well, my last project was Velocity Page. We launched it in March, and it should have been about 4 or 5 months, and it took us 14 months to launch the beta version. Well, we didn't call it beta, we called it 0.9, so we could charge money for it. But still, it took a long time, and it took a lot of just prodding it and pushing, and I literally couldn't sleep for 3 days before because I was just so much anxiety. And then as soon as it was over, though, I just realized, like, wow, that's what I live for. I live for that, literally not being able to sleep. It's terrible. It's so unhealthy.
Well, you know about that journey that's interesting. My wife says, you're happy, but you're not content. And I don't know if we all feel that way that are running our own businesses. I mean, I'm happy, but I'm never really content. I want to climb another mountain. I want to see what's over the hill. I want to open another door. I want to see if I could do something I haven't done before. I want to challenge myself. So I'm always looking for that. What is it? It sounds like a drug, right? I'm always looking for that. Yeah.
The next high.
Yeah, because once I get there and I look around, I go, I reached the top. This is great. Well, where's the next mountain to climb? And I'm trying to stop that a little bit. I'm trying to realize, Steve, slow it down a little bit, and enjoy it a little bit more. So I've fallen into that trap. I've caught myself. So I'm trying to enjoy the journey a little bit because at the end, it's never as satisfying for me.
Yeah. No, it's actually something I've kind of been struggling with. And discussions with my wife, I think, have turned to the same sort of conclusion that I'm really happy with what I'm doing, but it's true. There's never a contentment. There's never like satisfied. I've done it. It's like, no, I haven't done it. I've done things. Yeah, I've done some really cool things, but look at all the stuff I can do still. It's just, I don't know. It's weird, but okay. And then, so you talk about, there's like the top, right? So the top, so we're at there. We've both done some cool stuff. We want to do more, but there's also struggles and there's failures. Right. So, Stephen, as entrepreneurs and as human beings, one of our greatest struggles is the fear of being wrong, making mistakes, and failing. So, can you think back to a time where you were completely wrong and how you got through it and could continue on the other side quickly and keep your business going?
Gee, that's a long list there. I can tell you I was in a lawsuit a couple years back, and I made it personal when it was just business. And I sued a very small toy company called Legos in federal court. And looking back,
very small company.
Yes. Looking back, I was thinking, what was I thinking? In fact, when I remember in federal court, I went and I saw my name, Stephen Key Design versus Legos. I thought, how in the heck did I get here? I look back and it's not that I made a mistake. It's something I do regret. I made it personal. And some people say business is personal, and it is, but you still have to kind of remove yourself and make good business decisions. And I didn't have the experience to do that at the time. I was a little young. And so I made it personal, and it took longer to complete. And it came out fine, but if I had the experience, I think I would have done it a little differently. So looking back, it was a good experience. Now I can laugh about it. At the time, 3 years, I wanted to cry about it. So I think that was a mistake of just not having enough experience or rushing in and letting my emotions take over.
Yeah, I guess that's something that we all struggle with and learn, right? But it's hard, right? It's super hard to completely separate personal emotions from something that is so personal. It's your business, right? It's your ideas. It's your life that you're putting out there and building stuff with, right?
I think the best advice is step away from the computer, step away. Go for a walk, have a couple drinks, do whatever you can, but don't react, right? Don't do it. Just give yourself a little breathing room and you'll be fine. It's the time that I pressed that send button too soon. What was I thinking? I wasn't thinking long term. I also realize now every business decision I look at, or something that happens, I say, how is this going to affect me a year from now? And that gives me great perspective on any situation that maybe is going wrong, or maybe I want to respond to it, I always say, hey, how am I going to feel about it a year from now? And usually when I put myself in that position, I look at it and go, no big deal.
That's a good way to do it. I think the perspective of a year really helps. It really kind of evens you out a bit.
Changes everything.
Mm-hmm. So, Stephen, you're co-founder of Inventor, which is like inventions, I'm assuming, with licensing, which means there's a lot of ideas that probably come through or across your desk, say, or through your inbox. And not just ideas of other people, maybe, but just of your own or pitches or just say projects. I call them projects as a general term, or product, or whatever you want to call it, of things that say you might want to take on in your business or an idea that you might want to run with. How would you go about determining at this point what's right for you and your company as a project that you guys should take and run with?
Well, first of all, I'm very lazy, so I'm very picky now. I look at them very differently because you're right. I see a lot of ideas, but what I'm looking for is an idea that I can implement very quickly. And that's based on my relationships within an industry. So we all know that any project takes time. You've got to push it up the hill. It's going to take just a lot of effort. I do a lot of things. And so if I see something I really love, it has to fit it has to have certain characteristics that makes it easy for me to call the people I know to implement it or ask for an opinion or how to bring it to market really fast, given my experience in certain industries. So I guess I'm industry biased, and that's the way I do it today because I've just been doing this for so long. I know how much work it takes. It takes a lot of work for anything you do. So I'm lazy. I do it the easy way. I find something where I can implement quick just because I have relationships.
Nice. That's excellent. Okay, now sort of a big question for the end here. Stephen, if for some terrible reason your career was to end today, would you be happy with the legacy that you've left behind up till this point?
I would have to say yes and no. I still have a lot to do, but I started a company 12 years ago. It's really a feel-good company, and I could run it any way I want to. And I looked at all the other companies I was dealing with, and I wanted to structure it completely different because I didn't like all these other companies I was working with. I think they were doing it all wrong. So what I mean by a feel-good company, it was building, we have customers, but I call them students. I look at it very differently, and they're really my friends. And that's really turned into a very rewarding situation that I wish I could do more and more with, but I want to do more. But I feel that I made my mark, right? And I think along the way, I always wanted to be the best at something. And that's hard to do in today's world, but I think I've been the best at this business. And building relationships, making people satisfied that we do things differently and they're cared for. So yes, I would say I could walk away tomorrow pretty happy about what I achieved.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you. So, Stephen, we've talked about your business and we've talked about you for the past 25 minutes. Can you just leave my listeners and tell them where they should specifically go to find out more about you and your business?
Well, there's a couple things. I write a column for Inc.com on licensing lifestyle. It's about having the freedom of creating the type of business that allows you to have time. And also for Entrepreneur, they could read, I do a weekly blog there. And they could go to inventright.com, that's invent right, not wrong, where they could find additional information about licensing. And of course, I write books. There's one called One Simple Idea that you can find on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's been a bestseller for over 3 years. It's been translated in 5 different languages. So I'm pretty easy to be found. And I believe I got this great advice early on that if you really know what you're doing, if you're really confident, give everything away for free. Because then people will follow you. And I think once they see some of the stuff that I deliver, they'll follow me. So I can be found.
That's amazing advice. I love it. And I'll link to your book, I'll link to your business, and I'll link to your blog and your articles on Inc. because I think that they're definitely amazing reads. And I'll put them in the show notes for everyone to get to easily. So, Stephen, thank you so much for your time. I really, truly appreciate you coming, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. I've loved every minute of it.
Well, Stephen, that was a lot of fun. I didn't even know that much about you until you reached out to me, and then I did my research on you, and you're truly an amazing person. And you've done some really, really big things, and I agree that you should be absolutely satisfied with what you have accomplished up till this point. And I know you're still going to go on and do some big, big, amazing things. So thank you so much. So we've reached that time in the show. Did you get it? Did you find it? Let's do it. Let's find the hack.
If you want unlimited income, you're going to have to piggyback. You're going to have to find a multiplying effect. And that fascinated me, to think that how can I find this multiplying effect that doesn't require my presence, doesn't require me being there. And that's been my journey, is trying to find this way to piggyback on other opportunities so I can keep my freedom to do what I want to. So working for somebody else was never going to work for me, ever.
And that's the hack. Stephen, it's like you've read my mind. I love this. So if you are on my email list, which you should be, right? Go to hacktheentrepreneur.com, get on the list. I send out an email that I'm kind of working my ass off on once a week with just the things I'm going through, what I'm kind of dealing with and struggling with. And I sent out an email a few hours ago, actually. And it was about passive income means scalable, not sleeping all day. Scalability to me is absolutely essential in building a business because it's the multiplier effect. I never actually thought of it in this way, but Stephen is absolutely right. It's the multiplier effect that I can create something like my podcast once today, and I can put it out there and it can multiply and literally get listened to by tens of thousands of people around the world. That's amazing. That's not me just going and knocking on a door and shaking hands with somebody and meeting them. That's a multiplier effect. And it's absolutely essential. That's passive income. How it's created is in that way. Do things that can scale and become bigger than you ever could. I create software products because I work on a software product once, like Velocity Page. I build it. And although we have to do ongoing development and maintenance, still, if I sell one license to Velocity Page today, or I sell 100, it's no extra work to me. That's absolute scalability. And he's absolutely right. If you want unlimited wealth and the potential of being able to take yourself out of these equations at some point, you need to have that effect. And you can't get that when you work for somebody else. That other person, if they're the owner of that company, they get that multiplier effect. So thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. The iTunes reviews just keep rolling in. We're at like 180 right now. I love hearing from you on there. If you have a chance, go onto iTunes. hacktheentrepreneur.com/iTunes will take you right there. Subscribe to the show. Leave me a rating. Leave me a review. If you do, and you're on Twitter, you should leave me your name on Twitter. Your @handle. And I can go talk to you on Twitter. I love it because I've been doing it all week and it's been amazing. Because unfortunately, I can't respond directly to you on iTunes. I don't know who you are. It's just the way iTunes works. But thank you so much for taking the time. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, and I'm just glad you're giving me a half hour to spend with you. It really, really means a lot. I'm John Nastor. This has been a lot of fun. Until next time, keep hacking the entrepreneur.